Will Marry When I Want, a play written by Mĩriĩ and Thiong'o and Ngũgĩ. Meet Mr. and Mrs. Gundi. Mr. Gundi is a tractor driver, while Mrs. Gundi is a farmer and a housewife. Their real names are Kikunda and Wagensi, and I'm not going to call them that so I don't bite my tongue. They have one daughter, one son, and one plot of land. The story begins in their tiny one-room apartment. Mr. Gundi is trying to fix a squeaky chair, while Mrs. Gundi is cooking some rice because today, the richest family in town is coming over to visit. What could possibly go wrong? But her parents are panicking over dinner. Their daughter, Gatoni, is sitting on the bed quietly braiding her hair like none of this concerns her. Now, Gatoni and her mom don't exactly see eye to eye because Gatoni feels cheated that her parents chose to send her brother to school instead of her. And now they're suggesting that she get married because apparently a girl's most important mission in life is to be somebody's wife. I'm joking. But Gatoni's parents take her marital status very seriously because they don't want her to be an old maid living under their roof. You also need to know that this is post-colonial Kenya. They have their independence, but most people are poor, jobless, and pagans. This is also a time where education is a luxury, and for many women, marriage is still considered the safest career path. Either you're a housewife, a farmer, or both. Gatoni's mom is both. But Gatoni wants something different. She definitely doesn't want to marry a man with 2 or 3 other wives, and she wants to get married at her own pace. And because of that, she and her parents are clashing a lot. Halfway through cooking, Mrs. Gundi suddenly realizes she's forgotten the salt. What will we do? She asks Gatoni to rush over to the neighbors and borrow some salt, but on one condition. Don't tell them why. Because if they find out that we're expecting visitors, they'll expect food too. Gatoni returns with the salt, but she doesn't stick around long enough to meet her potential in-laws because her boyfriend comes to pick her up. Oh, did I mention? She's dating her father's boss's son. His name is John Mohini, and today both families are meeting to talk. I wonder what for. Just as Mrs. Gundi is trying to convince Gatoni to be careful with Johnny, they get another unexpected visitor. It's the neighbors, Mr. Gikamba and Njoki, his wife. You know, the ones they borrowed the salt from. Yeah, apparently Gatoni didn't keep her mouth shut. Mrs. Gundi awkwardly tries to explain that there isn't enough food to go around when the real guests arrive. And it's ironic the name the authors have chosen for them, Ahab and Jezebel. And if you read your Bible, you already know that we're in trouble. Not surprising, Ahab and Jezebel refuse to eat, saying that they've had a big breakfast, but they've come bearing good news. Everybody's tensed up. I mean, what could they possibly have as good news? Could it be a salary increase? Could it be better working conditions? Could it be a promotion? No, it is neither. They've come with the gospel of Jesus. Because Ahab is Mr. Gundi's boss, Mr. Gundi is polite enough to listen, but he's pissed. At the same time, he's relieved because he thought they came to ask him to sell his land. Instead, they are inviting him to church to become a Christian and to have a church wedding with his wife. But he's not interested in getting married again in a church to his wife of 20 years. Now, in many African cultures, including Kenya, you don't need a church wedding to be considered married. A traditional wedding is more than enough when you have done 3 important things. 1. Pay a dowry. 2. Do your vows. 3. Give food and drinks to everybody there. But after Ahab and Jezebel leave, this is where it becomes problematic, right? For some reason, Mrs. Gundi thinks that the real reason they came and talked about converting to Christianity was because they want their son, John, to marry Gatoni, which makes absolutely no sense. Because, I mean, if their son really wanted to marry your daughter, wouldn't he come and, ask you first? Thank God for their friends, Gikamba and his wife, who are still there, who try to talk some sense into them. They point out the obvious and ask them 2 questions. 1. Has Johnny actually asked to marry Gatoni? No. Have his parents come to discuss marriage? Also no. But Mr. and Mrs. Gundi are already 10 steps ahead. They've convinced themselves that Ahab and Jezebel wouldn't have suggested a church wedding unless their son intended to marry Gatoni. I really didn't get this part. I mean, why are you planning an entire wedding before the groom has even proposed? And then in the very next scene, Gatoni walks in and casually announces that she's going on a vacation to Mombasa with John for a week. Her mother nearly has a heart attack. They argue, Gatoni storms out, and ironically, this convinces her parents even more that marriage is inevitable. Well, if they're traveling together, Johnny must be serious. To be fair, from their perspective, it does seem like Johnny cares about her. He's buying her new clothes, he's taking her on trips, he's spoiling her a little. You know, all this romantic stuff. And Gatoni isn't exactly dreaming about marriage, but she's also not complaining about having a boyfriend who can actually afford nice things. So Mr. and Mrs. Gundi make a decision. If this wedding is going to happen, they might as well start preparing for it. They go to Ahab and Jezebel's house and tell them that they're ready to convert to Christianity. But now, here's where things get interesting. Jezebel tells them that if they want a proper church wedding, they'll need wedding clothes, wedding cake, bridesmaids, groomsmen, the whole package. Mr. and Mrs. Gundi look at each other and basically they're like, well, that's wonderful, but with what money? And Ahab suggests that they go and take a bank loan. But hold on. I mean, if you're supposed to be my future in-law, why are you telling me to borrow money from a bank? Why can't you just lend me the money, especially when you know I'm poor? This part really annoyed me because this was telling you everything you needed to know about Ahab and Jezebel, and I cannot just understand how gullible they were. But poverty is a bastard. Somehow, Mr. Gundi thinks this is a fantastic idea. He walks straight into the bank, hands over the title deed to the only piece of land his family owns, uses it as a collateral, and takes out a loan just to pay for a wedding that they didn't need in the first place. So, plot twist. Gatoni is pregnant. Another plot twist. Gatoni and John break up. So when Gatoni tells John about the pregnancy, he dumps her ass there and then in Mombasa. Rude. But she comes home ranting to her dad about what has just happened between her and John, and Mr. Gundi immediately goes into father mode. He's like, sweetie, no problem. I mean, the kids just have to get married now. We'll postpone our wedding. Simple. Problem solved. Or so he thinks. So with Gatoni in one hand and his wife beside him, they march straight to Ahab and Jezebel's house to tell them what their son has done. Now, I'm not going to spill every single word that was said, but let's just say the conversation goes from zero to civil war in about 60 seconds. Insults are flying, threats are made, guns are aimed. At one point, I genuinely thought someone was about to die. Ahab tells Mr. Gundi, like, no, damn, I'm never going to allow my son to marry your daughter. He calls Gatoni a whore and says she's the one going around sleeping with his son. Somehow, John is completely innocent. And just like that, Mr. Gundi loses his job, he loses his land because of the bank loan, and spends his days drinking at the local beer parlor. Mrs. Gundi is heartbroken because her husband is now a drunk. Gatoni is thrown out of the house and told to raise the baby on her own, and the last time we see her, she's working as a waitress, heavily pregnant, trying to survive. The end. Question: if there was one thing you could change about this book, what would it be? I wouldn't say I enjoyed the ending, but I think it was the right ending for the book. I hope you enjoyed listening to this short review of mine as much as I enjoyed talking about it. If you liked this video, please click the like button and consider subscribing so the algorithm recommends more of my videos. You can also watch another one that should pop up on your screen right about now. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and stay blessed. Bye.